Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we are doing the final part of my high-end makeup collection. I have all of my various brow, single shadow, mascaras, lip products, things like that in this video. So if you guys want to check out the first two videos, I will have them linked down below. I go through my bases and my cheek products, and this is kind of just everything else. And I also have a drugstore version of this video, so if you want to just see the drugstore items I have in my collection, I will be sure to link that as well. If you're new here, hi, my name is Vivian. I'm a robotics engineer with a love for all things beauty and makeup related, and I'd love it if you liked and subscribed if you aren't already. And with that being said, let's just hop into it. So yeah, let's do eyeliners here. Usually I have all of my mascaras in a separate little basket and then my eyeliners go here, but for the sake of this video I had to rearrange some stuff so that I could keep it kind of a little bit more organized. I have these two eyeliners from Kulfi. These are the underlined Kajal eyeliners. I have the shade Daydream, which is this really pretty blue, and I have the shade Jungle Gems, which is this green shimmer shade. So I mentioned in my drugstore version of this video that I used to have an LA Girl liner, like a cream liner like this, that was pretty similar in color to this Kulfi one, but I like the color of this Kulfi one a little bit more. So I do really like these. I think they're really creamy. They blend out really easily. I don't use these a ton just because I don't use color liners a ton, but I do really like them, and I think they're really pretty and they last like a really long time. Like at this point they're dried down and they're not going anywhere. The next thing I have here is from Rare Beauty. This is one of their newer launches. This is the Perfect Strokes Longwear Gel Eyeliner. I have this in the True Brown shade. This is also a really creamy, really pretty liner. It's this nice deep brown. I typically use this in my waterline to deepen up my just lash line a little bit, just to make my lashes look a little bit fuller. This packaging, you can twist it up, but you can't twist it down. So be a little bit careful when you are rolling up the product. This one is also pretty budge proof once it sets down. I've seen some reviews on this where if you use it to draw on the actual lids, it's not the easiest to work with. So, you know, if that's the type of eyeliner you want, this isn't the perfect one for that, but I typically only use this in my lash line because it is so deep. So it works really well for me, and it works the way that I want it to work. Just something to note if you are trying to get like a different usage out of this. The next eyeliner I have here is from Urban Decay. This is the 24/7 Glide On Eye Pencil in the shade Cuff, and this is just a very pretty shimmery silver eyeliner. I typically use this on my lower waterline to just brighten up a little bit. I think it's really fun. I bought this specifically for the Taylor Swift concert. There's a little bit more of a dry down time than the other ones, but this one doesn't transfer to my upper lash line or anything like that. I think it's really pretty. I like the sheen that it has, and it also just brightens up my waterline a little bit more, which I really appreciate. This next one is from Charlotte Tilbury. This is the Super Nudes liner duo. There's like a dark brown side and a peach side for your like lower waterline. This dark brown side is very pretty, and then this peach side is just there to kind of brighten a little bit. Well, this is the only like peachy waterline thing I have. I do really like it. Again, it's pretty creamy, but it also, once it sets down, like it doesn't really budge. I didn't give it enough time to set down, and I think it just makes everything look a little bit more defined without being too intense. The last thing here is from Rare Beauty. This is their Perfect Strokes Matte Liquid Liner. This is also a really good liner. I really like the tip of this. It is a brush tip, but it just has like this like calligraphy feel to it, which makes it feel very fancy. And even though the tip is bigger than maybe some people expect or want, but you can get really fine strokes with it as well, so you can be pretty precise with it. And brush tips for me are my preferred eyeliner thing in general because I feel like it glides on easier and it just like applies easier for me. So I think this is a really good liner. I do think there are drugstore liners that are also really good too though, so if you don't want to spend super expensive luxury prices, you definitely don't need to. I don't think I would repurchase this. These are from Glisten Cosmetics. These are split liners, so wet liners. I have the shades Milk and Blue Heaven. The Milk one is just a white. Blue Heaven is this split pan with like a lighter blue and a deeper teal. I think these are very fun. I don't use them super often because, again, I don't really use like super colorful fun looks often, but I think these are a really good option and they're nice to have just for when I want to have a graphic liner moment. Let's talk about mascaras next. So first things first, I have 3 Thrive Cosmetics Liquid Lash Extensions mascaras. I have the shades Black, Brown, and this deep blue shade. The deep blue I haven't opened yet. I probably should soon, but this is my all-time favorite formula. These are tubing mascaras. You can see that my black one, just the outer packaging is a lot more rough than the brown one. This one is getting down to its kind of last legs. It has been flaking on me lately, so that's a sign that this is probably past its expiration date. This is one of my favorite mascaras though. I love how it feels. It's a nice weighty mascara. It feels very luxurious, and this is a tubing mascara, so it doesn't smudge on me, and that's all I can ask for a mascara. The brown one is really pretty, but it's pretty much like a brown black. It's more black than brown in my opinion. The wand of this is kind of that like really tapered plastic bristly wand, so sometimes I do poke my eye, but I have all 3 shades that they offer, so I think that kind of justifies, or I think that kind of signifies how much I love this mascara, and I will continue to repurchase this for the rest of my life. If you aren't aware, I have super straight Asian lashes. They don't hold a curl. They get weighed down really easily, and most waterproof mascaras smudge on me. So I'm very particular with my mascaras. Ones that aren't waterproof, I'll go in with my Pamela Essence mascara base to kind of hold that curl, and then go in with another mascara on top of it to either volumize, lengthen, whatever effect I'm trying to go for. Let's talk about these 2 first. So this first one is from Huda Beauty. This is the One Coat Wow mascara. It has this really large plastic doe foot, or like bristle wand. The bristles on here are actually quite short. This mascara was sent to me, first of all. So is this one. This one was also sent to me, and the other 4 I bought myself, but this one I just had higher hopes for it. Like, this type of wand I feel like is supposed to be very volumizing. The name One Coat Wow makes me think it should be very volumizing, and for me it just doesn't do that. I feel like it does not build on itself very well either. Definitely not a one coat mascara for me, and it also does smudge a little bit, so not my favorite. Would not recommend that if you have super straight Asian lashes like I do, or like oily eyelids. And this next mascara is from Benefit. This is the Fan Fest mascara. Like I said, this was also sent to me. The wand on this is a little bit more curved. It is a like natural fiber brush, and I do think that it is kind of pretty. I want more volume out of my mascaras, and I don't think this really does that. Like, if you really like that fluttery look, I think you might like this. It's not my favorite mascara. It doesn't hold a curl. It doesn't really make my lashes look fluttery either. I feel like it's kind of pointless to put this on because it doesn't do much for my lashes, and this also smudges on me, which is a shame. And then lastly is this mascara from Tower 28. I actually do quite like this mascara. This has a plastic bristled wand that is curved, and it's very, very flexible, and if you push on the wand, you can see that it just like extends out. There's something about this mascara that I just think works really well. One thing I will say is that it doesn't hold a curl, which again, most mascaras don't for me, but it doesn't smudge, so I do really like this. And it is also really easy to take off. I really like the effect of this too. It's very voluminous. You can build it up really nicely, and it doesn't end up looking clumpy. I think this is a great mascara, honestly, and if I didn't have such particular lashes, I would probably use this a lot more. Moving on to brows, I have several different brow pencils here. This first one is from Kosas. This is the Brow Pop. I use the shade dark brown. This one is in my project pan right now, so I'm working my way through it. It is almost finished. This tip is like a little triangle teardrop shaped tip, so if you want to tip it, or if you want to use this on its like point, you can get pretty thin hair-like strokes with it, or if you want to use the fatter end, you can fill in your brows really quickly. I think this is a fine formula. I don't really have anything negative to say about it. It's not super creamy, but it's not like super stiff either. If I had to choose like which way it leans, it does lean a little bit more creamy than some other ones, but it lasts really well in my brows. I like the packaging of it too. I think it's cute. The only thing is that it's not connected to the mechanism that rolls it down. So if I try to roll it down, I have to like push the product in to get it to roll down. Not a huge deal, but something to note. And it is, I mean, it's a brow pencil. This next one is from Benefit. This is the Precisely My Brow Pencil. I have mine in the shade 5. Again, this is just like a typical brow pencil. It has a nice fine tip, not the smallest tipped pencil I have in my collection, but it is smaller than the Kosas one. This lasts in my brows all day. It's a little bit stiffer of a pencil. You don't get as much pigment deposited as quickly as you do with the Kosas one. Since it is a skinnier tipped pencil, you can get those hair-like strokes easier. I feel like this is kind of a cult classic, and it's kind of a cult classic for a reason. And this last one is from Rare Beauty. This is the Brow Harmony Precision Pencil. I have mine in the shade Soft Black, and this one has kind of a fun shape. It's kind of a diamond shape. I feel like that's probably not going to show up in the close-ups very well, or this like camera view very well, but this shade is a little bit too cool toned black for what I typically like to wear in my brows. I think it has a nice amount of creaminess to it. It's not too creamy, it's not too stiff. I think it's honestly like the perfect like consistency. Like, it takes no efforts to create lines, but it also doesn't like budge very well or very easily. I think it's a really good product. Out of these three though, I honestly don't know if I would repurchase any of them. There's nothing wrong with any of them. I just feel like 20 bucks for a brow pencil seems like a lot, especially when there are drugstore options that exist. I mean, just to kind of give you another product suggestion, this one is from Alicia. This is the Shaper Defining Eyebrow Pencil. I didn't include any K-Beauty products in any of my like inventory videos because they're a little bit harder to get your hands on. This Alicia one is it has such a fine tip, literally the tiniest tipped pencil you will ever see in your life, and this was like maybe $10, and if I were to repurchase one, I would probably repurchase something like this from the drugstore versus a high-end pencil that costs 20 bucks. The next item I have here is the Rare Beauty Shape and Fill Duo. This is in the shade Black. This is a little powder duo. It has like kind of a cooler tone shade and then a black shade. I use this to fill in my brows. It comes with this little mini spoolie and brow brush, like an angled brush, and it just sticks right in there. I think it's really convenient. I think it's really cute. I think the brow powder is also really good if you are into brow powders, and brow powders literally last you forever. So I think this is a really good product. I don't tend to use it just because, like I said, I've been working on my Rare Beauty brow pencil for so long now. Just haven't had the chance or the time, but I do really like it. I think it's a really good product. I currently only have one tinted brow gel. This one is from Glossier. This is the Boy Brow. I used to use this a lot when I was in college. When I finished up one of them, I just never repurchased it. I like it well enough. I think it's a good brow gel if you do want something a little bit more natural. I think it has a pretty good hold for your brows. One thing to note, my brows are very thin and they get weighed down very, very easily. So I like brow gels that can hold up my brows, make them look kind of fluffy without weighing them down. This next one is from Milk Makeup. This is the Kush Brow Lamination. This makes my brows fall down, so I don't really love it. I also think the spoolie on this is kind of large and in charge for a brow spoolie. I would not repurchase this. I really don't think it does anything for my brows. I don't really like the way my brows look with this on. The next item here is the Kosas Air Brow. This was clear at one point, but just from using it, it's turned quite dark and brown and kind of gross. I think this is fine. I much prefer the tinted air brow than the clear one. I think the clear one is just kind of mid, honestly, but the tinted air brow is one of my favorite brow gel formulas. I think it does a really good job of volumizing my brows, but also holding my brows up. My brows, like I said, are very thin and not sparse, but they are very thin, and so I like having something that volumizes it a little bit. This just does an okay job at holding them up, but the tinted ones are one of my like holy grail brow products. And lastly, I have the Refi Brow Sculpt. This is one of my favorite clear brow products. It does such a good job of holding my brows in place and giving them that fluffy look. The spoolie is massive, but honestly it just does such a good job of holding my brows in place. I really like the way it looks. If you go too overboard with it, you can get white particles in your brows, but if you kind of are careful and don't like wipe off the spoolie, that doesn't happen, and it still has a really good hold. I have a Singular high-end eyeshadow primer here. This is from Urban Decay. This is the Primer Potion. This is a little mini sample size of it. I don't have much to say about this. I think it does a fine job of keeping my eyeshadow in place, but I just don't use eyeshadow primer that often, and if I do, I tend to just reach for the Milani one instead of this one. I kind of forgot I had this until now, if we're being completely honest. Alright, let's talk about single shadows. So I have a couple different things here. I have these 3 stick products. The first one is the Laura Mercier Caviar Eye Color in the shade Au Naturel. I was using this as an eyeshadow primer for a little bit there. I have since stopped, not because there's anything wrong with the product, just because I don't wear eyeshadow primer that much. I have this one from Hourglass. This is the Voyeur eyeshadow stick in the shade Moon. I really don't think there's anything special about this eyeshadow stick. I think it's pretty, but it's not super impactful in any sort of way, so I just don't tend to reach for it. I think this is really pretty as like an inner corner highlight, but again, I just don't think it's anything revolutionary. I would not spend money on that. I would not spend my own money on that. This next one is from Bobbi Brown. This is the dual-ended longwear cream shadow stick. One side is in the shade Nude Beach, the other side is in the shade Pink Mercury. I don't really use the Nude Beach side very often, but I do really like this Pink Mercury side. The Pink Mercury side is such a pretty, like, pink, but it has these blue purple micro glitters in it that I think just are absolutely stunning. So I don't really use the matte side, but the glitter side is absolutely stunning. Would I recommend it just for the glitter side? Honestly, no. I have a lot of other eyeshadow toppers that I like just as much that I don't feel super wasteful on, because I am probably never gonna reach for the matte side of this. The next item I want to talk about is the original Kosas 10-second eyeshadow in the shade Globe. This is definitely expired by now, but it's just such a pretty eyeshadow that I never want to throw it away. It just has this amazing shift and reflect to it. The 10-second eyeshadows were reformulated, and the reformulation just is not that good. I don't like them that much, but the original 10-second eyeshadow in the shade Globe is absolutely stunning. Honestly, my favorite kind of liquid eyeshadow topper that I can wear kind of every day. These next 3 are from About Face. I recently picked these up in an Ulta haul. You should have seen me try these on by the time this video goes up already. So I have 2 of the matte fluid eye paints, and I have 1 of the fractal eye paints. I have the shades Capulets, On Point, and the shade Tin Pan Alley. So Capulets on my eyes looks pretty much like I'm not wearing eyeshadow. It's just like a neutrally brown, maybe just kind of like a light crease shade. The shade on point is extremely light, like this really light kind of almost cool pink. And then Tin Pan Alley is a more glittery topper shade that has kind of a champagne base, but it has kind of green sparkle shifts in it. I think these are pretty good. I like the longevity it had. I think they're really easy to work with as well if you are trying to do kind of like a fun shadow look. They also have a ton of different shades of these, so if you are trying to do a super fun look, like, you're gonna be able to find a color that works for you. And these last two things here are my absolute favorite eyeshadow, liquid shadow, fun pop of color moments. So these are the Danessa Myricks Twin Flames. I have the shade Crazy For You, which this is a little sample size of, and I have the shade Angel Heart. So I love these specifically to put in my inner corners. This feels extremely dried out now, so I think this is gonna have to get thrown in the garbage because it does feel very dried out. It doesn't typically feel like that, and this one is relatively new, so this one should still be good. But basically it has these super stunning reflex to them. I love having these on the inner corners. This is the shade Angel Heart and this is Crazy For You. I just think they're really stunning. I love the reflex they have, and it just kind of makes any eyeshadow look a little bit more fun. I just think they're a really good formula and they're really easy to work with. So the next item that I kind of just keep in here because it's miscellaneous is my Freck Noir. This is just a freckle pen. I think this is a really good freckle pen. I like the color on me, and it lasts all day. So not much I can say about that. Let's talk about eyeshadow toppers next. This is one of my favorite categories, one of my most used for sure. Let's talk about these two first. These are both from Phytosurgeons. I have one in the shade Oxidized Olive and one in the shade Fractal Freesia. These are the Flash Fluorescence, like, cream pot shadows. I think these are really pretty. I definitely don't use Oxidized Olive that much. I think it's a stunning shade. It's just a little bit deeper, so I don't find myself reaching for it as much. And the shade Fractal Freesia is this absolutely beautiful, glittery, just like kind of wet sparkle shadow look. It's one of my favorite cream shadows or just eyeshadow toppers in general. I really like the formula of it. It lasts all day. It doesn't like move around too much. I think Phytosurgeons just has some really great products. The next thing I want to talk about here is this from Makeup by Mario. This is the Master Crystal Reflector. This is in the shade Bronzite. This is technically a highlighter, but in my opinion it's a little bit glittery as a highlighter, and I like to use this as a eyeshadow topper instead. It has a really pretty, barely there, just kind of glittery, wet look to it. It doesn't really have a base pigment to it. I just think it's stunning. The next thing I want to talk about is this from M Cosmetics. This is the Cosmic Pearl Dewy Eyeshadow in the shade Moonrise. This texture is such a unique texture. It feels very bouncy, and it has such an insane, just like, payoff. Like, you can see how reflective that is. I barely dipped my hand in there and you get such a beautiful, like, foiled looking effect. And like I said, it does feel like really bouncy, so I just think it's a really pretty eyeshadow. One thing about this though is that it does crease on me. The next thing I have here is the Urban Decay Moon Dust eyeshadow. This is in the shade Cosmic. Again, this is just such a pretty eyeshadow topper. It just makes your lids look wet, and it just has such a pretty, barely there reflect. It's like a little bit sparkly, but not too sparkly. And like, if you look at it in certain lights, you can't even see it, but if you look at it in other lights, it literally looks wet. I am obsessed with it. I think it's a beautiful eyeshadow and a beautiful eyeshadow topper as well. The next thing here is from Victoria Beckham Beauty. This is the lid luster. I have mine in the shade Chiffon. This is so stunning in the sun. If you wear this and if you just like look at your reflection while you're outside, it just has this pretty like kind of green shimmery effect to it. It's not as intense as any of the other ones. Like this one is much more subtle, but because it's so subtle, I still feel like it just leaves such a pretty, fairly bare impact. And again, it kind of just makes it look like your eyelids are like wet and glossy. I really like this formula as well. And again, the packaging is just kind of nice too. Like it's just nice and weighty. It does kind of have a bouncy texture to it as well. This last eyeshadow single shadow is from Auric. This is the Smoke Reflect in the shade Defiance. So it has two different components here. It has this bottom component, which is a cream eyeshadow, like a very bronzy cream eyeshadow. This by itself does have some, I don't want to say shimmer, but it is like a little bit foiled. It's not a complete matte product, but it blends out really easily. I really like the shade of it. I think the cream shadow at the bottom is really, really nice. And the top is a eyeshadow topper, and you can either like put it together with the Smoke Reflect, or you can wear it on its own as an eyeshadow topper. It's just this really pretty, just gold shade, and it just leaves a really, really pretty sparkly effect. This one is much more sparkly than the Victoria Beckham one, but it's almost on the same level as the Urban Decay Moondust eyeshadow in terms of the amount of sparkles in it. This definitely has more of like a gold silver sparkle, whereas the Urban Decay one is definitely just silver. They're honestly all so stunning. I love my eyeshadow toppers. This is just a little acrylic organizer of all of my lipstick type products. I also have all of my tinted lip balms here as well. So first things first, something that I love so much that I have practically every shade of it. I have a backup of this, and I have a full size of this in my purse right now. These are the Summer Fridays lip butter balms. These are my all-time favorite lip balm formula. It is nice and thick and hydrating, and the tints that they leave are unreal. I have a video on my Instagram just lip swatching all of them, so I can leave that linked below for you guys if you guys are interested in seeing the different tints. But just the best lip balm formula I've ever tried. Yes, they are expensive. Yes, I think they're worth it because my lips are so perpetually dry. I really need something thick and hydrating for my lips, and this just does it for me, and the tints are chef's kiss, so beautiful. They also smell really, really good, like insanely good. This shade here is the shade Cherry, and it kind of smells like cherry candy. The vanilla ones are beautiful as well. This kind of purpley one is the shade Brown Sugar, and this smells straight up like heaven. Like, I love the way this smells. This last one, the shade Poppy, smells just like fruity and fresh and summery, and I just love all of them. The next item I want to talk about is from Fresh. This is the Sugar Lip Treatment in the shade Rosé. I think this is pretty, but it's not the most hydrating for me. It's very thin. It smells really good. The tint is very pretty, but it's just not super hydrating, so I don't tend to reach for this over my Summer Friday lip butter balms. I do kind of think it's fun that the cap is a twist off. It makes me feel safe if I put this in my purse or something. I don't feel like it's gonna break off in my purse, whatever. I think the packaging is nice. I like the scent of it, but it's not my favorite lip balm formula. The next lip balm I have here is from Grown Alchemist. This is the lip balm in the scent Vanilla Watermelon. It's an okay lip balm. It's not my favorite. I don't think it's the most hydrating. It's much more thin than some of the other lip balms in my collection in terms of like liquid like this, and that's not my favorite. I definitely prefer something a little bit more hydrating, a little bit thicker. I think the scent of this is really nice. I think the packaging is sleek. I don't really love this exact like paint tube type of formula because I do feel like it kind of explodes as soon as you open the cap. I feel like every single package I have that is in this type of tube just always explodes when I open it. So not my favorite product ever, but it does smell nice. It's perfectly glossy. It's a fine lip balm. If you are gonna spend money on an expensive lip balm though, I just prefer the Summer Fridays way more. And I also like that the Summer Fridays applicator like actually has a lip applicator on it, whereas the Grown Alchemist one, you have to like squeeze it out onto your finger, which is not the most hygienic. The next lip balm I want to talk about is the Glossier Balm.com. I have two of them here. I have the original formula in the shade Coconut. I also have the original in the shade Mango that sits in my makeup bag. And then I have the new formula in the scent Birthday. The scents of these are nice, but they're not my favorite formula. Even the old ones, I feel like they're not super hydrating. I think the only benefit of these is that they smell nice, but overall, I wouldn't recommend them. I just think, again, if you're gonna spend more than $10 on a lip balm, you might as well spend the money to get the Summer Fridays Lip Butter Balm, because I just love this formula so much more than any of these other ones. The next thing I want to talk about is the Laneige Lip Glowy Balm. This is in the original berry shade. I actually do really like these. I think that it smells really nice, it feels really nice. I like the applicator on them. I think it's a good lip balm for sure, but I'm gonna keep going back to the Summer Fridays Lip Butter Balms because they're just my favorite. I just prefer the Summer Friday Lip Butter Balms because I like the tints that the Summer Friday Lip Butter Balms have more. If you don't really care about the tints, I also think this is nice and hydrating. It's thick and glossy and a really good formula. This next item here is the Bobbi Brown Extra Lip Tint in the shade Bear Claret. Again, kind of similar to the fresh ones. I don't think they're super hydrating. This one has even less of a tint than the fresh ones. Would not recommend. I just feel like there are others out there that are not as expensive, and again, I just prefer other formulas compared to this. All right, let's talk about sheer lipsticks. I have 4 different shades and options here. I have 3 of them that are very close to each other in shades in 3 different formulas. So the first one is the Glossier Ultra Lip in the shade Cachet. It's like this deep kind of purple mauve-y brown. I think this color is stunning. I love the outer packaging. I think it's really cute and pink and like pretty. This next one is from Clinique. This is Clinique Black Honey. Not as pigmented as the Ultra Lips are and not as shiny, but kind of has that similar tint to it. Not as glossy, I should say. I feel like the Ultra Lip one is definitely more glossy. And then the last one is the Merit Signature Lip in the shade L'Avenue. Again, it's kind of that similar color family where it's this like deeper burgundy red type of color. I think they're all stunning. The Merit one is the most pigmented. You can build that up to pretty full opacity. The Clinique one is not going to be very pigmented at all, and the Ultra Lip can get pretty full pigment as well. They are all really pretty. All of the formulas are different. The Merit is much more of a satin. The Ultra Lip is more glossy, and I feel like the Clinique Black Honey is kind of in between, but the opacity is much less. Like, this is the least pigmented one. I think they're all really pretty. I really like all of them. I think they all have a place in my collection, even though they all kind of have that same but different type of look and color to them. Similarly, I have the Merit, the Signature Lip in the shade Slip as well. This one is just a more nudie brown. I do think it's really pretty. Again, I really like the formula. It's really comfy, and you can build up the opacity if you want to, if you are feeling like you need a more intense lip. For my preferences though, I tend to prefer more sheer lipsticks on me, so I really like the Merit formula. This next shade here is from Vive. This is brand new to me. This is the Satin Slip Lipstick in the shade Kink. This one, again, kind of in that same color story, but it's a little bit lighter and a little bit more pinky mauve. This one is definitely also just more pigmented than any of the other ones. I think this is really pretty. I've only used this a couple of times. I think the lipstick itself is a really pretty formula, but I also just love the outer packaging. I think it's so sleek. It has this little magnetic closure that feels really satisfying. I love the kind of ribbed gold. I think Vive did a stunning job with this packaging, and the formula is really nice as well. Another lipstick I have in my collection is from Rare Beauty. This is in the shade Bold. This is also one of my favorite lip colors. I mean, you can tell I have like a trend here, right? It's just this like deeper kind of terracotta-y red shade. I think this looks really good on my lips. I really like the formula of this. It's really high pigment, but it's also really comfortable still. I also have these two from MAC. I have the shade Devoted to Chili and Teddy 2.0. Devoted to Chili is kind of more of a brick red, a little bit more bold of a color compared to all of the other ones in my collection, and Teddy 2.0 is much more of a nude. This is the Powder Kiss formula, so they're also really comfy. They are also just kind of that like satiny finish, not too pigmented either, not glossy in any way, but they're extremely comfortable on the lips. I also have one bright red lipstick. This is from Rare Beauty. This is the matte lip cream in the shade Inspire. This is a mini size of the product. This came in like a set with the blush and highlighter in my collection. I think this is a very comfortable formula. This is very much a bright red, almost leaning orangey. I think the formula is really nice. It's very comfortable. Also very pigmented, but it's not my most worn lipstick, but I do think it's still pretty. This next product here is also from Victoria Beckham. This is the Posh lipstick in the shade Twist. This is much more of a pinky shade. It is slightly glossy, but nothing super intense, nothing like the first three that we talked about. I like the formula. I like the thin compact. I think it feels very luxurious. It has a nice little snap to it. And it doesn't feel like the lid is gonna fall off in your purse or anything like that. Again, I love the tortoise shell that is like kind of part of Victoria Beckham's brand. Overall, a really good formula, and I don't typically love these like pinky tones on me, but this one doesn't bother me as much as the Charlotte Tilbury Pillow Talk does. Speaking of Charlotte Tilbury, I have two mini lipsticks. I have the shades Walk of No Shame and Supermodel. Walk of No Shame is pretty similar to Rare Beauty Bold in my opinion, just like a tiny bit deeper. I think it's such a pretty like red toned terracotta burgundy type of shade though. Let me take off my watch so I have more room. I love it. I love that shade on me, and I think the formula, the Charlotte Tilbury formula, is really good. And this shade, which is Supermodel, is also kind of that deeper pink. Again, because it is a little bit deeper, I don't mind that pink shade on me. I think it's still really pretty. I do really like all of these though. I think they're all really pretty, and they all have their own kind of place in my collection. Alright, let's talk about lip glosses and lip liners. Let's do lip liners first. I have several different formulas here. I have a couple from M Cosmetics, one from Victoria Beckham, a couple of others, and they all kind of are in that same kind of tone. So this first one is from Victoria Beckham. This is the Lip Definer, and this is in the shade 02. So this is a really pretty, more pinky brown type of color. I think the formula is really good. It lasts really well. The next one here is from Tower 28. This is the one liner. This is in the shade Fill Me In. This is brand new to my collection. I bought it online without swatching it first, and it ends up being a lot more pinky purple on me than what I was kind of hoping for and wanting. So it's not my favorite shade. I haven't done like a full wear test on that though, so I have no idea how well that lasts. This next one is from Rare Beauty. This It is the Kind Words Matte Lip Liner in the shade Bold. This is a retractable lip liner and it matches the lipstick in the shade Bold. I think it's a really good formula. They're very creamy, they blend out really easily, and they last a really long time. Next we have this lip liner from Cosmetics. This is in the shade Fawn. This is also a very creamy lip liner. It's also retractable. It has this very pretty, like kind of almost peachy brown, but more brown than anything else kind of tone to it. I think it's really pretty. It lasts a really long time. This next one is the shade Kitten. I definitely use Kitten more than the shade Fawn. This one is much more of a warmer brown, but it's also deeper in tone as well. So I really like that. I think the Cosmetics lip liner formula is really good. This next one is from Huda Beauty. This is the Lip Contour 2.0 in the shade Honey Beige. Again, retractable. This lip liner is the fattest one in terms of thickness. This is a really pretty cool toned pink brown shade. I think it is really pretty, and again, it lasts a really long time. And this last one is from Makeup Forever. This is the Artist Color Pencil in the shade Anywhere Caffeine, which is a kind of darker, cool toned brown. So those are all the lip liners. Again, they're all kind of the same but different. The only one that's like really different is the shade Bold from Rare Beauty. These are the Merit tinted lip oils. I have 5 of them. I have these shades Au Naturel. This is the shade Cara Cara. I have Falcon, Taupe, and Marrakesh. I think this is a really good formula. I think they have a really pretty shine and a really pretty tint. They are very lightweight, and I just like the tint that these have most of all. I think they're really pretty. They're pigmented without being too pigmented. They have a really glossy finish as well, and they have several different wearable shades as well as some brighter ones. This first one, this one is Au Naturel. It's kind of like a neutrally pink. The next one is Cara Cara, which is a little bit brighter of an orange. This next one is Marrakesh, which is a kind of brighter pink. This is Falcon, which is a deeper brown, and then this is Taupe, which is kind of just like my everyday lip color. I think these are all really pretty. Again, like I said, the formula is really nice and thin and lightweight, and I really like the tints that it has. Merit also has this formula, which is the Jelly Tinted Lip Oil. I have mine in the shade Mapleton, but these are pH changing lip oils, so no matter what shade you buy, they're all going to kind of look the same on your lips. This one is a little bit of a thicker formula, not thick, but just a little bit more thick than the other tinted lip oils that they have. I do actually like the tint that this gives me, and I like the formula of this one just a little bit more just because it is a little bit thicker. I think it's really pretty, but again, if they're pH changing, so if you get one, you have all of them. You don't really need to purchase more than one shade of that, but they're really pretty. I like a lot of them. Some of these were sent to me, but I did also buy a lot of them as well. This next section of lip oils here are all of my more thicker lip oils. So this one is from Decourte. They actually sent this to me. This is a thinner formula compared to some of the others in this section. It comes off pretty much clear with like a little bit of shimmer in it. It's really pretty. This next one is from In Beauty. This is the Glaze lip oil in the Mystery Glaze variety. It has a really big doe foot. This is a color changing lip oil, like a pH changing. I really like the formula of it. It smells really nice. It feels very hydrating because it is so thick and juicy. This next one is from Ami Collet. This is the lip treatment oil. I don't know what shade this is in, but they only have like one brown shade. This is also a really nice formula. It's nice and thick and hydrating. One thing about this that I really like is the doe foot itself. It has these ridges in the doe foot, and I feel like that does a beautiful job of distributing the pigment and the formula on your lips without making it streaky or chunky whatsoever. I think this is a stunning formula, and it is also nice and glossy and hydrating. This next one is like the OG classic lip oil, the one that got TikTok viral the first time. This is the Dior Lip Glow Oil. I have mine in the shade Rosewood. Again, it has that nice big doe foot. The formula of this is nice and hydrating as well, also very thick. This does have a slight minty feeling to it, so it is a little bit plumping. If you're not into that, maybe stay away from this, but I think it leaves a really pretty shine. I love how hydrated my lips feel, and I love how glossy they look. This next one is from Lila B. Lila B is no longer a brand, so you can't get this, but I love the tint of this. It's this beautiful darker purple. The doe foot, or the stopper on here, is slightly too tight, so I feel like when I pull the stopper out, it can kind of fling everywhere. This is in the shade Be Remarkable. Again, I really like the tint of this. I think it's stunning. The formula isn't as thick and gloopy as some of the other ones, but I still think it's really pretty. I also want to mention that when I say gloopy, I don't mean that in a bad way. I prefer lip products that are a little bit gloopy just because my lips are so dry. I really like the way that something super thick feels on my lips. This section is all of my clear glosses. Some of these have a little bit of shimmer, some of them don't. This first one is from Tower 28. This is in the shade Magic. It has this beautiful like gold shimmer to it. I just got this and I have been really obsessed with it since getting it. I think it's a stunning formula, and the Tower 28 formula itself is super hydrating, super shiny, not thick or sticky whatsoever. The formula really is great. This next one is a little mini sample size from Refi. This is just their lip gloss. I think the applicator is kind of fun. I just like the way that it looks. I think this gloss is super, super shiny. Not the most hydrating, but the shine it has is absolutely unreal. This next one is from Vive. This is the Lip Dew Glossy Lip Oil. Again, it has these shivers in it that I think are really pretty. I like the formula. I like the scent that it has too. I think it's a really good option. And I think they have tinted versions of this too if you want something a little bit more tinted. And this last one, this is just a clear gloss from M Cosmetics. This is in the shade Quartz. I really don't use this that often. I only keep it on hand for when I want a clear gloss, like a true clear gloss. It's a little bit sticky in my opinion, a little bit too gloopy. Not my favorite formula, but I have it because it is a true clear gloss. This next thing here is my Laneige lip sleeping mask. I am probably about halfway through this and I've literally had it for years, like an insane amount of time. So this is kind of expensive for a lip mask, but it literally lasts you forever. I also use this during the day as just like a gloss because it does have a pretty sheer tint to it as well. This first one is from Charlotte Tilbury. This is the Tinted Love in the shade Tripping on Love. It's this really pretty light red shade. This next thing here is from Rare Beauty. This is the Tinted Lip Oil in the shade Hope. This is very similar to the K-Beauty tinted lip oils that are more so stains than lip oils. I think it's really hydrating. I like the formula of it and I like the stain that it leaves. It starts off pretty pink. This next product is from M Cosmetics. This is the lip cushion in the shade Van Gogh. This is a very pretty, very glossy lipstick type of product. It's very similar to the Tarte Maracuja Juicy Lips, I think. This one, I just really like the tone of that. I think it's really pretty. Also with the packaging, you can click it up, but you can't click it down, so just be careful. Don't extend it out too far, but I really like the glossiness that that has. And then lastly, for actual glosses, I have several different formulas here. These are more tinted or just like bolder than actually clear. Let's talk about this one first. This is from Kaja. This is the Kaja Gloss Shot. I think this is a stunning formula. It's really hydrating. I like the tint that it has. This is in the shade Pink Drink. I just really like this formula. I think it is very nice. I like the doe foot of this. It's very curved, so I feel like it hugs your lips really well. It's a stunning formula, honestly. This next one is from Dior. This is the Dior Lip Maximizer in the shade 003. It has this really pretty purple blue sparkle reflect in it that I am absolutely obsessed with. I really like that. I think it's super hydrating. Again, a little bit of a minty feeling to it, so if you're not super into that, maybe avoid that a little bit. but I think it's stunning. I love the glossiness. It's super comfortable on the lips. Similarly, this is from About Face. This is the lip gloss in the shade It's Not You, It's Me. It's kind of similar in terms of the sparkliness to it. This one is a little bit thinner than the Dior one. The reflects in this shade are more pinky purple with a pretty clear base. It's not my favorite formula. I much prefer the Dior one just because, again, I do prefer those thicker feeling products, but I do think it's really pretty. I do think it leaves a really pretty reflect as well. This next one is also from Tower 28. This is the Shine On Lip Jelly in the shade Spicy. This is a really quite pigmented, honestly, lip gloss. The formula is super comfortable. It is super hydrating as well, and you can see just how pigmented that actually is. I tend to wipe off the doe foot and apply very little of it and then like spread it out with my hands, but I do think it's a really pretty formula. It's super long lasting and the tint is very pretty as well. It kind of gives you that popsicle stain lips when you do blend it out a little bit. This last product is from Rare Beauty. This is the Melting Lip Balm, I think, in the shade Nearly Petal. This was a limited collection color that came with a set on Sephora. I really like this. I think it's super hydrating. I think it like lasts on my lips really well. This one doesn't really have a tint to it, but there are other shades of this that do have a slight tint to it. This one is just kind of like a little bit milkier. I think this is really pretty. I think it is nice and glossy and nice and hydrating as well. I really like these. I think it's a really good formula. Okay, so that is everything in my high-end collection. That was a whirlwind. I feel like I was speaking very quickly at the end there, but it's because my camera battery was gonna die and I need to get this done today. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope it was helpful and beneficial to see my collection like this, see swatches and comparisons of everything. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, be sure to like and subscribe if you aren't already, and if you guys see any formulas that you really love, or I mean even if you really hate them, let me know. I would love to hear just different opinions in general. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys are having a great day, and I will see you guys in my next one. Bye guys!